How much money do you really need to buy a home? Most people think you need 20% down, but the reality is that you do not. But most people only think it's the down payment they have to cover. That's also not a reality. So let's jump into exactly how much money you're gonna need to buy your first home ever. For those of you who don't know, my name is Joel. I'm the executive loan advisor here of More Lending. Been in the business for over 5 years, have helped over 300 families achieve home ownership, and most importantly, achieve financial freedom through home ownership. How? By doing this right here, educating you, creating videos, and talking about the things that nobody really talks about, like what's the real cost of buying your property. So I'm gonna get into it. Make sure that you hit that like, subscribe button if you do like what I'm talking about here, and go make sure to check out the other videos that are on my page that can give you even more insight towards your home buying process. So your first cost and the most known cost is going to be your down payment. Now, as a first-time home buyer, you do not have to put down 20%. As a second-time buyer, you do not have to put down 20%. In no time, unless you're buying an investment property, do you have to put down 20%. Now, if the bank tells you you got to put that to qualify, that's a different story, but I'm not getting into that right now. The first-time home buyer, there are loan options available to you like conventional and FHA loans that allow you to put down as little as 3% down towards your purchase. This down payment is what you are putting that goes in effect against your principal balance on your loan. Meaning if you buy a home for $500,000, you put 3% down, you now owe the bank $485,000, okay? That's gonna be the amount of loan you're gonna pay back over 30 years, and the amount of interest you'll be paying is based off of that principal amount. So for my first-time home buyers, you will only need to put down a little bit as 3%, right? If you're a move-up buyer or you're buying your second property, don't think you have to put down 20%. You're actually only required to put down 5%. Yes, 5%. I can show you how to build an entire portfolio of properties by only putting down 5% within the next 10 years. And if you start and if you follow my page, these are the type of things I'm going to talk about to help you achieve financial freedom, not just to buy a home and not just to have a roof over your head, but how to really gain financial freedom through real estate, and why 90% of millionaires buy real estate. So let's recap on that. It's down payment, first-time home buyers, as little as 3% down. Let's say we're buying a $500,000 property. You're probably going to only be paying $15,000 for the down payment. Number two, your closing costs. What are these closing costs and how much are your closing costs? Okay. Closing costs are very simple. They're going to be any lender-related fees, any property-related fees, any title fees, and things like taxes for the mortgage, taxes for your property, and then escrows, okay? So let me kind of briefly go down the list on this. Lender fees are going to have things like origination and underwriting costs, right? The bank's got to make money for doing the loan. It is what it is. Number two is going to be some fees you cannot shop for, meaning that, hey, these are some appraisal costs, right? To get the value appraised on your property, you must do an appraisal, which is from an independent party. There's no way around that. The second thing is your credit report fee. When we do run your credit for the purchase, right, we get charged, and as a result, that charge passes on to you as the consumer. Those are two fees right there that you have to think about. Number three is your title fees. Title is an essential part of the transaction. What the title company's job is to do is to ensure that there's a smooth transition of title from one owner to the next. So also make sure that there are no liens against the property, violations, judgments, and that the lender is lending on a good property, and more importantly, that you, the buyer, are buying a good property without any issues, let's call it, right? Making sure that, to put it in car terms, that you're not buying a salvage title or a rebuilt title, that you're buying a property with clean title, and then when you get your property, you're never gonna have any issues because you will be the sole owner of that property. Title does come with their cost as well. Now, let's talk about doc stamps and mortgage taxes. Now, depending on the county, depending on your state, depending on different areas, you will be charged a percentage of taxes just to do the transaction of a mortgage. Places like Texas do not charge this, or charge probably like $100. I'm not super certain on that, but they don't charge this, right? Which leads into a whole other rabbit hole of things that happens. But the idea is that this is a piece that you have to pay and the seller has to pay as well. So that's part of your closing costs. And then we run into things like prepaids and escrows. Prepaids are any costs that you pay upfront, like an entire year's of homeowner's insurance. On top of that, your prepaid interest, meaning that from the day you close to the end of the month, you will have to pay a per day interest to the bank. That's a very intricate topic of this. And then escrows, if you choose to escrow, meaning that you'll have to put 3 months worth of tax and insurance in this escrow account, which what ends up being is that the escrow is, I'm paying my money, I'm paying within my mortgage, my taxes, and my insurance. What the bank does, the bank doesn't just take that money. The bank takes the portion for tax and insurance and puts it in an escrow account. It's like a savings account in a bank. And when the taxes and insurance are due every year, what the bank does is they take out the money, they pay the taxes, they pay the insurance, and they do that year over year. So the account continues to go up, go up, go up, go up, and then it goes down. And then up, 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 and down. At closing, they collect 3 months already up front just to make sure that they have a reserve in there so that when you pay your taxes and when you pay your insurance, you're not left without any money, right? So those are all your closing costs, and there may be some additional processing fees and all these things. What I tell my buyers is that closing costs are anywhere between 3 to 5% of the total purchase price. 3 to 5%, all right? This 3 to 5% is something you definitely want to factor in. And why is it so different? Well, it's different based on the lender that you choose and how they charge. It's based on the type of program that you choose, right? And it's based upon where you live at as well and the purchase price, right? So a lot of different variances here, but you can go with 3 to 5%. If I wanted to tell you to be very comfortable, I usually use about 3.5 to 4%. Very comfortable range to be in right there. So we got our down payment 3%. We got our closing cost 3 to 5%, right? And all these things, that's everything involved with the actual mortgage, loan, or purchase transaction. But do not forget moving costs. I'm going to get into that. So now we've talked about your purchase transaction costs. Let's talk about the expenses that nobody thinks about, okay? Number one, your movers. You've got to move from the place you're at to the place you're at. Now, you have a great family like myself, thank you, Lord. I don't have to pay that because I just tell them and I give them a bag of pizza and they come pay it for me. But if you're already living in an apartment or living somewhere with their furniture, you're probably going to want to pay some movers. That can run you up a couple $100s per hour depending on where you live. Number two is going to be utility deposits, okay? When you do sign up with FPL or water and sewer, they do make you put a deposit on the account to make sure that you have stuff there. So think about that as well, and think about the utilities you need to set up, like electricity, water, internet, right? Any other services that you want to put that you're going to have to put on that house. The other one is going to be your furniture. Furniture is not a cheap cost, so you definitely want to make sure how much will furniture cost for you to furnish the entire house, because that's something you are going to have to put as your own funds as well, okay? And then lastly, I always tell all of my clients that even after you purchase, you don't want to stay with $0 for any emergencies. You want to make sure that you have an emergency cushion. Depending on what that looks like for you, that can look like either just having a simple $1,000 in the bank, and that's your emergency fund, or having 3 months of living expenses in the bank after, just to make sure that if anything happens, you have that money saved. So these are all the costs of actually buying a home. Make sure that you think about all of this, because here's the most beautiful part. The purchase transaction is just one aspect of it. Having money saved for emergencies, utilities, and the realities of life are another aspect as well. So make sure that when you are buying something, you're buying something that fits within your budget, and you're speaking to a lender that understands the realities of life and is simply not looking to just close on another transaction. I can actually help you create a budget or share with you an entire budget that you can have that will prepare you for the purchase of your home. And I call this my home buyer checklist. Do I have enough money to buy a home? And it is a reality for me right now. If you really want that, send me a comment below. I will send it over directly to you and you can have it. So this is all that it is. All the true costs of buying a property here. I don't want it to scare you off, but I want it to be the reality of things here. I want you to be informed as a buyer, as a seller, and as in the future, right? Or just simply somebody who wants to buy in the future and is just looking to save, okay? So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. If you want to hear something about certain different topics, drop a comment below. I'd love to make all types of content that can educate you and that I think would really be real powerful and real informative for you.